my screen. Better. That's better.
All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna put glasses on.
Give a few seconds here. We'll go live on Instagram and TikTok. All right. Well, welcome everybody to our Friday live show. This runs every Friday at 7. I'm your host, John Lawyer. I'm a soldier turned spiritual seeker. And I just want to have great conversations with people and get different perspectives on the world and the universe and what's happening within us and around us. And I think if we can all have that conversation, we can live in a better world, a more peaceful place, a more calm place. So each week we have a different guest co-host. I'm honored to introduce you to June Edward. She's a psychic and a medium. And throughout the live stream, we're going to have her website scrolling in the ticker. It's also going to be in the permanent description if you look down below. And instead of reading her biography, I'm going to pass it over to her to introduce herself. Thank you, June. I appreciate you coming.
Oh, my pleasure. How are you tonight?
Doing great. How about you?
Good. So I am a relationship expert, a best-selling author, a psychic medium. I died at 27 and I came back here by choice. And the creator of the Relationship Mastery Program, which is a 7-week program that teaches people how to get in touch with their soul, how to raise their vibration, how energy works, and how to reunite and repair any relationships that they want.
Okay. That's a great profession. I think like teaching people how to heal relationships and be in relationships and have positive relationships.
So relationship is everything. People have a
Yeah.
misnomer that it's just this, it's got to be romantic. No, even business is a relationship. You're in a relationship with your customers, your coworkers, your boss, your employees. You're in a relationship with your parents, your family, your friends, even the guy at the laundromat. You're in a relationship with him if you go there all the time and see him. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's probably underrated is the fact that there's all this stuff that's been out there all these years about having relationships with your partner, your spouse, your significant other, and yet there's all these relationships in our life that are just, often, I mean, it may not be as important, but they really kind of are because we spend so much time in these other relationships, and they impact who and how we see ourselves and how we see the world, and how we kind of move through the universe.
So what I learned from the Relationship Mastery Program and putting hundreds of people through it, one person at a time, is that they were all here to learn the same 5 soul lessons. And you have to learn these lessons for your soul to advance. And there are only 3 different types of relationships, but they're all in your life for a reason. You plan the life before you come here. And the first type of relationship would be a karmic relationship. And you create karma in this lifetime if you do something to someone and you don't make amends or you don't have remorse. You now owe that person in another lifetime. So when you plan your life, you plan who you're going to pay back your karma to or who you're going to collect from. But karma is not a bad thing. If you stole money from someone in a past lifetime, it doesn't mean that they're going to come and steal from you in this lifetime. They may become your boss and teach you how money works because money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's a karmic relationship because it never quite feels right. You're always looking over your shoulder or waiting for that shoe to drop or looking for the red flags. And when one or the other learns the lesson that you're supposed to be learning from that relationship ends immediately. It's like you wake up one morning and say, why do I even have this person in my life again? I'm done. And if you've both learned your lessons, you can end amicably. But if only one or the other learned the lesson, it ends, but it's not going to be amicable. And we have lots and lots of karmic relationships in our life. And we have lots and lots of soulmate relationships in our life. It's a soulmate because it feels really comfortable. It's there for you to either learn your lesson or teach them a lesson, but it's also there to afford you some love and comfort along the way. And soulmate relationships don't have to end once the lesson is learned. It really depends on what you've written into your life story. Some of them can last, your entire life, and you can learn all of your lessons through those relationships with other people and that relationship. And then you have twin flame relationships, which are extremely rare. There's a lot of misinformation all over the place, all over the internet because of all the movies and the books. But there's only a few 100,000 of those on Earth at any given time. And it is literally one soul that's split into two bodies and reincarnated into two bodies when they came back. And forever after, they'll be reincarnating in two bodies. But at a predetermined time, you meet each other in this lifetime. It is always extremely passionate, extremely sexual, extremely psychic, and extremely short. They last from a few days to a few months, and it ends. And when it ends, it's like you're ghosted. Only one of the two will understand the connection right off the bat. The other one won't. And it's always kind of like a runner chaser situation. And because it's energy, we're magnets. We're either repelling or we're attracting. And at any given time, when you're chasing something, you're repelling it. Very simple. You have to learn how to attract and be the magnet. So if they can each learn the 5 soul lessons that they're here to learn and get on the path they're supposed to be on, because they're here for a higher purpose, they're here to help humanity, then they'll have an opportunity to reunite in this lifetime. Most twin flames do not, because one or the other cannot learn the lessons and get on the path they're supposed to be on. And they're heartbreaking. There's nothing that is deeper than that, because once you've met that person, for anybody who's aware of what the Kundalini experience is, for me, my soul went immediately right back to heaven again. I didn't know what was happening. It's that kind of soul burning experience, and nothing else will ever compare. They're difficult.
Well, thank you for that description. And I like those categories of relationships. Brendan was asking us, how can you tell what relationship you have with your partner?
I just explained the 3 of them, so you'll have to determine what it feels like. And to be honest with you, a twin flame relationship, everybody argues and thinks they have one. Well, 99% of them aren't. A twin flame will never hurt the other person. They don't swear at you. They don't hit you. They will never hurt you. They're not intentionally hurting you by leaving. It's what they are supposed to do. It's what they have to do. They have no choice, because you each have to get on your soul path on helping humanity and learning your lessons. And one of them is always operating out of fear. And when they're operating out of fear, they can't love. The opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love is fear. And for the person that understood the connection and is chasing, that person will probably be alone the rest of their life, or if they can't find someone to settle with, because no one else will ever compare. It's very difficult.
Yeah, I found that on my own spiritual path, that having less and less fear in my life has led to more and more enlightenment or awakening, or whatever you want to call it. More light, more love.
So it's interesting. We're here in this 3D body, to have a human experience. That's why we're here.
Sure.
And, we're not the suit that sits here. We are the energetic soul that's inside. But while we're here, we've got to deal with this body, right? And we all have a brain in our head, right? Most of us. Your brain, other than being a massive computer, and some people's computers are faster and better than others,
sure,
your brain has a specific job. Your brain's job is to protect you. And how does it do that? It does it by creating fear. So most people are making all their decisions in life based on fear. And when you do that, it's a 50-50 crapshoot. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but you're always questioning your decision. Everybody's had something happen in their life where they've had to make a decision and they just knew it was the right thing. They didn't think it through a lot. They just did it because it was a gut instinct. They knew they were supposed to do it, and it worked out fine. And it will 100% of the time. That's your soul. So when you get in touch with your soul, you make your decisions that way. It's always the right decision. It's always going to keep you on the path you're supposed to be on, and you don't have fear.
So following your intuition, you think it's critical to that kind of higher perspective.
It is. That's your psychic ability. I mean, you can, that's what it is. Your intuition, psychic ability, gut instincts, that is your soul.
Right.
Giving you the direction on the message for where you're supposed to go.
Well, you talk about relationships, but you're a medium and a psychic. How does that cross over into your work with relationships?
So it's interesting. When I started doing my work like everyone else, what is the first thing you do? You start reading cards to see if you're connecting. And everyone that came to me wanted to know about their relationships, right? Other than the murder, the ones that wanted to know who murdered their uncle or who's this, but
Sure.
the majority were about relationships.
Right.
And, I listened to the other side, and I listened to my guides and my soul. And I just kept hearing, oh, you need to start a Facebook group about relationships. I'm like, okay, this is going back about 10 years ago now. So I'm like, okay, I start the Facebook group. Okay, whatever, answer questions. Then about 6 months later, I hear you need to do films. You need to film videos about relationships. I'm like, huh? Okay, so I sit down and I draft out scripts for 10 different videos about marriage, divorce, blended families, aging parents, retirement. It covers everything. So I literally hired a camera crew and did these professional videos. And then I'm like, now what do I do with them? I don't know. I put them on the website. I put them on the Facebook group. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with these things. All I know is I follow what I'm supposed to be doing, right? Fast forward another 6 months, I hear you need to do a program for people to heal their relationships. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And I find a company that walks, they give you all the instructions on how to put the program together. And the program was literally put together divinely with the angels, because everyone that goes through that program and finishes it, it's a 7-week program. Their life has changed 180 degrees. Their lives are incredible. On my website, there's video testimonials from some of my students, but it's absolutely incredible. And I didn't realize until I started putting people through. I put a couple hundred people through. I'm like, wait a minute, everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's working on the same 5 lessons. And this is where the book came from, All's Fair in Love and Karma. It outlines those 5 lessons. And if you don't learn them, guess what? You're just going to keep repeating the same type of relationships over and over again. And you may not even recognize it. How many people go out and they date a girl and it doesn't work out, and they didn't learn the lesson, and then they did another girl and they think she's completely different, and their friends are like, she looks just like the last one, or she acts just like the last one, or there's no difference between the because you're still repeating and you haven't learned the lesson. That's why.
If there's people that come to your course, is there anything that you found in people that approach you and come to you? Is there any quality that you find that makes them, like, I don't know what the best word is, maybe that they're ready to do this? Like, what do you think that is?
So everyone is ready at a different time. And I geared the program mainly towards people having difficulty in their romantic relationships, heading for divorce, separation, because I felt that when you're ready to lose everything in your life, you're more motivated, right? You're more motivated to do the work to fix yourself, right? Because it's all about fixing yourself. You got to work on you before you can work on a relationship. That's the reality. And that's what I geared it towards. And a lot of people found me. Again, it was divine intervention. And I credit that with a lot of things in my life that, if I'm not on my path or someone is not on their path, there is divine intervention. And many of my students will tell me that they were on the verge of taking their own life when a video popped up on their computer, and they went online and they scheduled the webinar and listened to the webinar and then called me and changed their entire life.
Yeah, you never know what's going to resonate with someone. That's what I love about what we do as content creators and as people that support people and help people.
So the way I look at it is the people that are supposed to find you will always find you.
Right. Yeah, as the universe does, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're always where you're supposed to be. There's no accidents. You're always where you're supposed to be.
Well, I think that's one of the biggest revelations people, hopefully the viewers can understand. Like wherever you are, that's where you're at. Like you can want to be somewhere else. You can be sad that you used to be somewhere else and hope that you're there again. But at the end of the day, we're always where we are. And that's tough sometimes. It's tough to say, oh, you know what? I am here.
You're always
And
where you're supposed to be. And if
yeah,
you're not on your path that you're supposed to be on, the universe will intervene. Suppose that you're
yes,
living on the East Coast and you're supposed to go move to the West Coast, and that's where you're going to meet the love of your life and have children and whatever. Certain things are supposed to happen, right? You're supposed to interact with certain people and you're refusing to go.
yeah,
Well, the universe will cause something that's tragic for you to go. Maybe they'll burn your house down. Maybe they'll make you lose your job. Something to make you
sure.
go to be where you're supposed to be. And hindsight 2020 is a wonderful thing. You can always look back at the breadcrumbs and see how one thing led you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing to bring you to where you are. Always where you're supposed to be. And even a tragedy, something good comes out of it. I guarantee you, if you look at that, there was something good that came out of everything. And when you're in it, you think it's the most worst thing in the world. But once you've gone through it, you understand the reason why.
Yeah, the balance of the universe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Always
Everything's got to
balancing
stay in
itself out.
balance.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've
And
seen
that's the
that you.
toughest thing, balancing energy, right?
No, yeah, and when you're at an extreme, you don't often know that you're at this extreme on one side or the other, and so you can't see it. And then your
Right.
your your ego and your brain's like, I don't want to change because change is dangerous. You know, it might
Yeah, because you're
it might
stuck in 3D, you're stuck in the
yeah,
drama.
this might get me killed. This might get me hurt. You know, so I'm not going to
Yep.
change.
Yep.
But like you said, usually change happens when people suddenly realize, oh, I am in this extreme because there's something really bad happened, and it takes this extreme action in this 3D reality that you're talking about, this 3D world, to get people to kind of like
Right. And
blast
everything
themselves
happens
loose.
when it's supposed to. Some people
Yeah,
start their spiritual journey younger than others because they're supposed to.
sure. Yeah, I didn't. I was on a completely different path. I ended up, finding my spiritual way. I was 40 years old, 39, 40 years old. And so you never know when it's going to happen. And you
Well,
never
I've
know.
only been doing this work for 10 years
Yeah.
and I'm 61.
So,
Even though I've had the ability pretty much my whole life, I was afraid of it. And you would think dying at 27 and going to heaven and coming back would have been the catalyst, and it still wasn't. I still had fear.
yeah.
I had curiosity, but I still had fear. Yeah.
Yeah, well, curiosity can take us a long way. I feel like it's one of the most important things.
It is. It is. It opened a lot of doors and got me developing my abilities a little bit more, so that I could see again. I could see energy and see entities and hear them. But again, it's a little frightening until you connect all the pieces. It
Sure.
can be frightening. Yeah.
No, and well, when I had my moment, I went and read tons of books and read stuff online because I wasn't on a spiritual path, so I needed to understand it so I could talk about it with myself, so I could talk about it with other people, because it's disorienting
Yeah.
to have abilities and have some knowledge and not understand completely
Well,
what's
when it
happening.
happened to me, I was losing. I've been in business my whole life, and I was going through a divorce, and I was losing my businesses. I was losing everything. My mom was dying. Went to have some Reiki done, and she recommended that I meditate. And I'm like, I can't shut my brain off. Are you kidding me? I got way too much going on. And the first time that I meditated, it was like they kicked the door in from the other side. They're like, she's ready. And I couldn't shut it off. I was panicking. I'm getting up in the morning again with 30 souls around my bed. I was working as a medical esthetician, and I knew everything about everyone walking in the door. And by my third client, her deceased husband was walking in behind her. I was freaking out. I was
How,
literally
how did
freaking
you
out.
how did you teach yourself? Is
I
boundaries the right
didn't.
word, or
I
is
didn't.
you
I
is there
had to
just
find someone to help me. I was calling every medium there was in all these magazines and asking them, what do I do? How do I turn them off? And all I kept going was, I don't know. I don't know. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know? You're a medium. You're supposed to know this stuff. I can't do what you're doing. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm like, okay. So I went to a symposium with a woman that was speaking, and she was a medium, and she had an office up in Boston. So as soon as she was done, I went and tried to make an appointment with her, and she was booked out for like 3 months. And I explained that I was desperate. If she gets any type of a cancellation, please call me. And she called me that afternoon and said she would fit me in. Um, and I went up there, and she's like, okay, well, sat down, and the doorbell starts ringing like crazy. She's like, just ignore it. I'm like, okay. And she says, well, show me what you can do. I'm like, I don't know what to do. It just happens. She's like, well, why don't you bring through my family from, some of my family members from the other side. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. They just show up. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know how to start it. So she's like, just close your eyes and describe for me who shows up. And sure enough, I brought through her entire family from both sides all the way back to Ireland. I'm like, yeah, it was a little crazy. So from there, I got some training from her, and then I found someone else and did training. I trained for 1.5 years, so I knew who I was talking with, how to protect myself, the hierarchy. And then from there, my education literally just took over from the other side.
So I'm interested. Does that encompass like your spiritual path or whatever this path that you're on, whatever you call it? Is that what spirituality is to you, or do you have? Where else do you kind of like? What is spirituality to you? How does it look?
Spirituality to me is just believing that we are all spirits. We have our soul is energy. So, and what I've learned is that, we all resonate in this body in the 500 range. When your soul leaves this body, your spirit, you're still in that range until you go into the light and go to heaven. When I went into that light, you think about quantum physics, I was moving at 160,000 miles per second is the speed of light. That's how fast my soul was traveling. And then I came back into my body at that. And when you think about the speed, the frequency, these are just all different terms for the same thing. Okay, it's energy. And that's, so my vibration, again, it's all energy. It's all different words for the same thing. Like my vibration is really high. It's higher than the 500 range of what, regular people are. And that's what I do is I read energy, and I teach people how to read energy. So, I know if there's a soul standing here, whether or not they've gone into the light and they're visiting me from there, or they're a ghost that's stuck here, or the demonic, because the demonics have a very, very low vibration, pit of your stomach sick vibration. They're all very different, and they'll take different forms. You can't go by what they look like because, again, they're deceitful. So this is what spiritual, paranormal, I guess, right? Spiritual. I mean, spiritualism is a religion. I don't consider myself to be a spiritualist. Not
Sure.
that I've learned lots of religions. I was exposed to many of them growing up. And what I've learned from going to the other side is they're all right and they're all wrong. There is only one. Doesn't matter what you call it. There is only one.
Yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I can definitely see that. So when you talk about the paranormal and whatever people call it, that people like to define things, right?
Yeah.
So
Well, we have to understand it in this brain.
yeah,
that
we have to be able to have a conversation about it in the 3D, right? Just like you were talking about earlier. Like,
Exactly.
we're all
Yeah.
humans. We're having this human experience, and if we don't have definitions of something, we can't really have a conversation, even if definitions are imperfect. And that's okay.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's really important for people to understand that I can have a definition of something, and you can have a definition, and they can be dissimilar but have similarities between them, and we can still talk about things.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Because your perception is based on what you've learned or what you've
yeah,
experienced.
our perspective.
Exactly.
Yeah, our own
That's
perspective.
what makes you. That's what makes your perspective.
100%. So when people talk about quote unquote ghosts, like what is that to you in your world?
So a ghost, like I said, is a soul that's left the body but has not gone into the light.
Okay.
Once they've gone into the light, I don't consider them ghosts because they have
Right.
a higher vibration. Just like angels. I mean, their vibration is off the trails. Extremely, extremely high vibration, much higher than a soul that's just gone into the light and come back.
Sure.
So a ghost, to me, is one that's stuck here. And once I've moved them into the light, their vibration changes immediately.
Right. And so you can actually see that happen.
I can, absolutely, yeah.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many of them. Anybody ever saw what I saw, it'd be like watching an episode of The Walking Dead. There's that many,
Sure.
and I mean, there's more than that many, and they congregate because we're magnets. They find each other. I've gone to homes where the entire attic was full of souls of black slaves because it was on the Underground Railroad, and that was a safe place for them when they died, and they were all afraid to go into the light, so they've all congregated there. I've gone and found basements full of Irish immigrants from the potato famine that came over, and the same thing. They were here illegally. They were living in fear. They died in fear, and they were afraid to go in the light. So they all kind of congregated and found each other, and whole basement full.
Right. Have you ever come across anybody that didn't know they were a medium or a psychic, and maybe they had...
Everyone has abilities. Everyone has psychic and mediumship abilities. Everyone. It's like playing a piano. Some people sit down and all they can do is play chopsticks. Okay. Other people, they want to learn a little bit, so they'll teach themselves a couple songs. Other people want to make a career of it, so they become a concert pianist. And then you have people like me. I'm like the 6-year-old prodigy that just sits down and plays Mozart. My abilities are off the rack, but I attribute that, some of it, to hereditary, because my mom was also a medium, and I think my father had somebody in his background that was as well back in Germany. But I believe it's because I went into the light and came back, and that my vibration's that high, and I can go back and forth to that lowest level of heaven, that fifth dimension, at will.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And do you write about that in your books?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would encourage people, and it's not just the book in the background, but you've got other books that you've got on your website. So I would encourage people to check your website out.
I do. Anybody that wants to try to work on their own abilities a little bit, my first book, A Night on the Other Side, is everything that I used to teach in psychic development and mediumship development class. So it'll teach you a little bit of what to look for and how to meditate properly and what to do and how to clear your house and how to protect yourself and all those types of things.
It's refreshing to see your perspective, and that everyone has these abilities. They just have to be open to the universe to kind of...
thousands of years ago, it was common knowledge. Everyone was born with it, and this is how you communicated. You didn't have cell phones. If Dad was out working in the field and there was a problem at the house, Mom would be in her head saying, "You need to get in here," and he would hear it and come in.
Sure.
I have an older sister who's 10 years older than me, and we had such a psychic connection when I was a kid that we couldn't even talk on the phone. Every time I would pick the phone up to call her, she'd be picking up the phone to call me, and we'd just get busy signals. And this would go on for 10 or 15 minutes till we realized what's happening. Then neither one of us would call. And it's like, somebody's got to make a move again.
It's funny.
Every time. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, my wife and I will send each other messages, and sometimes it's imperfect. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. But it's definitely, there's something there.
Yeah, and the more time you spend together, the closer you get, the more in tune you are on that psychic thread. So that, yeah absolutely. But the more people develop their skills, the more they have that. Your thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows.
Sure. And I wish people would just take what you just said and take it to heart. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. Where we're looking, where we're putting our energy is so important, because we're giving our energy away so much. And I would love for people to understand that they don't have to give that energy away for no reason.
Well, and you should never give your energy away. It has to be an equal exchange. Everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So you don't give your energy away and yet you're receiving energy from someone else. Everything has to be a balance. And those are the 5 lessons that, I learned through the program. The first one was self-worth. That's the biggest lesson that a lot of people have to learn. And self-worth isn't value. Value is what other people place on you. Self-worth is the understanding that you are so important, that you are the only one of you in this entire universe. You're here for a reason. Isn't that amazing? And as much as society wants you to think it's narcissistic or selfish to put yourself first, it isn't. It's where everything else comes from. If you don't put yourself first, you're just not going to be here for anybody else, are you? It's that simple. And no one has power over you to make you do anything. I can't look at you and say, "Hey, John, I want you to fall madly in love with me." It doesn't work that way. No one is responsible for how you feel but you. which means no one else can make you happy either. I hear everybody with, oh, when I meet the right person, I'll be happy. When I get the right job, I'll be happy. No, 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 no. You have to be happy where you are right now, right here. This is all you're promised. Yesterday is gone. Tomorrow may not happen. You have to be happy with today and here and where you are. And when you're happy, your vibration rises. And you will start attracting other people that are happy, and happiness will ping pong back and forth between the two of you. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah, it is. And so because we're all on the same energetic frequency, everyone in your life is on that same frequency as you are. It's like just like a radio station. You can't get that channel in unless you're on the right frequency. And when you raise your vibration, the people in your life that are not on that frequency start dropping off, and other people will start coming in. It's absolutely incredible. So if you want better in your life and you want more in your life, this is how the law of attraction works. You raise your vibration. And when you meditate and you meditate properly, you raise your vibration exponentially. And the reason for that is this. You're getting in touch with your soul, but your soul is way too big for this body. You have a piece of your soul in your body. You have some of it over your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the majority of your soul is actually in that lowest level of heaven, the fifth dimension. And it orchestrates the timing of all the events in this lifetime, and it has all the knowledge of all your lifetimes. So when you're meditating, you're actually getting in touch with that part of your soul. And you'll start raising your vibration that much higher. And then, even if you don't, if people pray to the universe or they ask, right? When you meditate, you get your answers. And if you don't get it while you're meditating, you'll get it later in the day. It'll pop into your head. And then people that meditate properly will start notice that their ears are ringing. During the day, you'll get this buzzing or your ears. That's a download to your computer. Your brain is a computer, and it's giving you information. And at some point later down the line, you're going to know stuff that you don't know how you knew it, but you know it. And that's why, because they're giving you, it's like an upgrade to your brain.
Yeah,
so it's really important.
It really is astounding what happens throughout the day when you start meditating. Like what happens as you move, not when you're meditating. Yes, there's good things that happen and weird things that happen when that happens. But throughout the day, good things will happen to you that just kind of pop in. Just happen.
Well, it's also how the law of attraction works. You have to raise your vibration to get into that energy stream of the universe. The issue with the law of attraction is most people that teach it don't teach you how to balance your energy. And because everything in the universe has to stay in balance, once you've got that high, if you don't balance it, you crash and you lose everything. Everything has to stay. That's why there has to be an equal exchange of energy for everything.
And if we're always chasing like the 3D dopamine, we're gonna have problems, right? Like that high can't last. It's not.
No, but you know what? When you raise your vibration through a meditation and you balance your energy, it's the highest high you'll ever have in your life. It's higher than any drug you could ever get a hold of. It's absolutely incredible. And what's interesting is people that have had death experiences like I have and have actually gone to the other side, come back. A lot of them want to take their own life because they cannot get the feeling back.
Right.
But they can, if they meditate, they can go right back and they raise their vibration and have that same feeling that you get on the other side. And it's just incredible. There's not even a word for it in English. There isn't.
No, there's not.
There isn't. The feeling on the other side is just incredible. And I used to say that the only two things that you take with you is love and knowledge. But now that I do this work, I understand that we take all of our feelings with us to the other side. I have a lot of people that I bring through from the other side that are still angry or in remorse or things like that. So you take all your feelings with you.
Well, that's interesting. Like, how do you, when you're dealing with your clients and people that you're helping, how does letting go work? What's your process for that? Because we're carrying so much baggage. We're carrying so much stuff.
What do you mean letting go?
Like when we're attached to all this stuff from our past, all this stuff that we're carrying around with us, that's like all these emotions,
it's a process
that we're holding on to.
That's a process. It's a process for everyone. So my 7-week program, I unteach you what you think you know, and I teach you how things really work. And it's a process. It takes 7 weeks to do it. And there's a lot of work every day. There's 2 hours worth of work every day. It's not, you're not floating through anything. It's not snap your fingers and you're there. It's a process. So you think it doesn't matter how old you are, you're programmed in your brain for everything that you've been taught and what you've learned because you've been conditioned for that. And it doesn't mean it's accurate or right. And if you want to change the way you are, you have to understand how things really are to begin with. So you have to unlearn what you think you know and relearn how things really work. That's the difference.
Yeah, I love that response.
So the second lesson in the program is trust and communication. And you have to trust, first of all, there is a higher power. Like I said, there is only one. There's 176,000 recognized religions just in the United States. Forget the world, okay? There's almost 18,000 types of Christianity just in the U.S. So they're all right. They're all wrong. They all serve a purpose, okay? But there is only one higher power, whatever you want to call it. You also have to trust that you made this plan before you came here. So everything that's happening in your life is happening for a reason. And nothing is ever happening to you. It's always happening for you, for your highest and best. Because everyone on the other side wants to see you succeed. They want the best for you. They really do. But the way the universe works is you only get the reward if you do the work. They're not just going to hand it to you. It doesn't work that way. You've got to do the work if you want the reward. And you have to be able to communicate to the people in your life your wants and your needs, because we don't know by osmosis, right? Your wants and needs could be very different from my wants and needs. And then sex is just another form of communication. If you can't trust and communicate outside the bedroom, you can't trust and communicate inside the bedroom. It's just that simple. It's not difficult.
Yeah, communication is so important. And I talking about putting the work in, it's one thing to be open to the universe and listen to your intuition and that communication, but you also have to put the work in. You have to meet the universe halfway. You have to go out. You have to go out and do it, because no one's ever going to do it for you.
Well, it's also like people will sit there and they're like, well, I want to meet this guy. I want to meet the, 6 foot, blue eyes, blonde hair. I want to meet the love of my life and get married and have kids. Are you going to sit on the couch the rest of your life and think it's going to be delivered by Santa Claus? No. If this is what you're putting out to the universe and this is what you want, you've got to get off your butt and go out there, and they will bring them to you because you're out there doing the work. I had one woman in my program, and she has a testimonial. It's on my website. She wanted to get married to the father of her child, and he did not want to get married. And she went through the program, and she ended up getting 5 marriage proposals in the course of a few months. Swear, law of attraction, 5. It was ridiculous. And
really
one of them was him, and she ended up marrying him.
That's good.
Yeah, but it was crazy.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens. You go out and you go meet the universe halfway, like stunning things happen to you.
Absolutely. That's bringing it to you.
Yeah.
And then the next lesson is unconditional love. And that's a very difficult lesson for a lot of people to learn. And unconditional love is not saying, oh, I got to stay in this relationship, even though he beats me up on the weekends. It's not that bad. I'm practicing unconditional love. No, this is where the lessons will start to reinforce the other lessons. Then the self-worth kicks back in, right? Unconditional love is saying, listen, we had a really good run. It was great while it lasted, but it's not working and it's not bringing us joy. It's time to part ways. I want the best for you and I want the best for me. And it's meaning it. It's not wait until the weekend when you run into your mutual friends and then bad-mouthing them. It's really wanting the best for that person and being able to walk away.
Yeah.
And then suppose you had a child that you loved dearly and they did something horrific, like they murdered a neighbor in a fit of rage and they went to prison for the rest of their life. You don't like what the child did, but hopefully you're still going to love your child. They're still your child. Right. And then if you still can't learn the lesson, because I have people tell me, oh, there's conditions there. You dated them. It was your kid. Well, you know what? The universe will step in and make it even more difficult for you if you're stubborn. Maybe a drunk driver will take your child. Are you going to hate that driver for the rest of your life and let it destroy your life? Or are you going to understand that everything happened for a reason? Your child clearly made his life plan that he wasn't going to be here that long. And I promise you, he's an amazing place on the other side. There's a lesson, I'm sure, for you for the driver, for the paramedics, for the doctors, lessons for everybody. And as much as it sucks saying, oh, we're here for all these lessons all the time, we are here for a little mini vacation to try and enjoy our life. People forget that. We're here to help each other, but we are here to learn these soul lessons so that our soul can advance. That's reality. And you can delay these lessons. You can delay them till your next lifetime if you want, because the universe wants you to think you have choice, right? So the universe is going to offer you door 1, 2, and 3. You take door 1, you go through it, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced. Where are you? You're in front of door 1, 2, and 3 again. Most people, creature of habit, take door 1 again, get married again, have more kids, get divorced again, right? Where are you going to be? Back in front of door 1, 2, and 3. You can do it your whole life like a revolving door and come back next time and still have to learn these lessons. Or if you learn the lesson you were supposed to learn, you're not taking door 1 anymore. You're going to take door 2 or door 3, and you may still get married and have children if that's what you put into your life plan, but it's not going to end the way the other 2 did because you learned your soul lesson. That's the difference. Then you have money and balance, and money is energy. That's why it's called currency. And it's what we use in this little 3D world to show whether or not your life is in balance, because everything has to stay in balance. This is why you have God and the devil. You have left and right. You have sun up and sun down. And there has to be an equal exchange of energy for anything. I laugh when people say, oh, you're a medium. That's a great gift. You should be doing it for free. It has no value then, does it? It has to be an equal exchange of energy. You don't walk into the grocery store and prop down $1 million for a bunch of bananas right now yet, right? Not yet. It has to be the value of what it's worth. Okay. And suppose you're working 80 hours a week. Your life's out of balance again. You have no time for your friends, your family, your own hobbies. And then if you're just saving that money up, then you're out of balance again. You don't have enough self-worth to spend the fruits of your labor on yourself. Because money is energy, it has to flow like a river. You have to put it out there. And the more you put out, the more comes back to you. It's how it works. And when you do it, you'll see, because no one is meant to live a life of lack. Everyone is meant to live a life of abundance. But it's on you. It's truly on you. And again, when you trust the universe that they're here to help you, they shall. And then the last lesson is patience, because it's not always going to come to you when you snap your fingers, right? Maybe that 6 foot tall, blue-eyed, blonde-haired guy, is still graduating high school and trying to make his way to the United States. Who knows? Every little girl that's 5 years old that wants to get married, kind of stupid if that's going to happen now, right? And then if your biological clock is ticking and you're in your 30s and you're like, oh, gee, I wanted to get married and have kids and it's getting kind of late now. If it's not happening, it's because you wrote it into your life plan that way. But it still doesn't mean it's never going to happen. Maybe in another 10 years when you're 40, you're going to marry a younger widower and raise his children for him. You don't know. You're not supposed to know everything that's supposed to happen. If you did, life would be boring. You wouldn't want to get out of bed in the morning. It's that simple.
No, that's the magic, right? The question mark can cause so much fear, but if you just accept it, then there's a lot of beauty there.
You understand why, and you can, when you look back, you can always see why it happened. So just trust that. Give it a little time, have some patience, look back, and then you'll understand why things were happening the way they were happening. It's not always a lesson for you. Sometimes it's a lesson for somebody else. True. Keep that in mind, because you're here not just to learn, but to teach.
Yeah, we're all teachers, right? We're all teachers. We're all students, and
absolutely,
there's a lot of wisdom in understanding that.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're all avatars. We're all here just playing a role, because this is not really the reality. This is You're an actor in a play. You truly are, and when you go to sleep at night, more of your soul leaves your body, and your vibration actually rises, and you go into that 4D dream state. And if you're not paying attention during the day and connecting, that's when they'll try to connect to you from the other side. They'll lower their vibration and they'll meet you there. And you'll know it's a visit and not a dream because it feels real. You wake up right away and you remember it all. That is a visit. That is not a dream.
Now, I always appreciate when guests talk about the dream world, because we talk about, the 3D reality that we inhabit, but the dream world is our reality as well. It's like it's just different.
So there are dreams, because you have a brain, okay? Your brain has a filing system. It puts the old stuff to the back and has the old ticker file and everything else going on. But if you've got issues that you haven't been able to process during the day, or problems when you go to sleep at night, you'll have dreams to help process and file all that stuff away. But again, and sometimes dreams can be nice, but usually you forget your dreams when you wake up. They're not very clear, things like that. But when you've had a visit from the other side, when your mother comes to visit you, when a family member or a friend that's passed away comes to visit you, and actually you can have someone visit you that's still alive. Suppose you live on one coast and you have a family member that lives on the other coast, and they, something's going to happen, but maybe you haven't been in touch with them for 20 or 30 years. Maybe they're very sick and they're going to die, and they want you to know, but they're not going to pick the phone up because they haven't talked to you. Their soul, when they're sleeping, will come visit you, and they'll talk to you and give you that message, and you'll wake up with the knowledge.
Yeah.
Happens all
Wake
the
up with the
time.
knowledge. That's
Yeah.
powerful stuff.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. I have people that are still 3D playing here that don't talk to me in this, 3D world, but their souls will come to visit me. Yeah.
We could probably talk for days, but is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you want to tell the audience or want them to know?
So angels are real. Angels are a completely different race. They were never human. Their entire existence is to help us. But there are rules on the other side, the same as there are rules here. And if you don't ask for help, they can't help you. And, it's interesting. Every time my faith is faltering, I have diamond earrings that I wear that my ex-husband had bought for me, and I love them. I really enjoy them. I was brought up with nothing, dirt poor. And I would never be able to afford these earrings, to be honest with you. So they just bring me a lot of joy. It was a nice time when he gave them to me. And anytime my faith is faltering, one of my earrings will disappear. And it's always, when I notice it, it's like, oh my God, I've already been to the gym, the grocery store, or the golf course. And I'm like, I've, hands and knees through the entire house, the bed, before it dawns on me, dummy, ask St. Anthony. And every single time I ask St. Anthony, and he will direct me to that diamond earring within 15 minutes, every single solitary time. They've done it 4 times to me already in the
Yeah,
last about 5 years. They've done it 4 times, but it's always when my faith is faltering, and they reinforce it immediately. And I mean, these earrings should never fall out. I've had the post replaced twice. They're screwbacks. There's no way these earrings should ever come out, right? But sure enough. So they're here to help you. And when you ask, they will help you. But you have to ask. It's just like when you meditate. You have to ask Archangel Michael to surround you with love and light and protect you. Not once in a while, not, oh, he knows. No, you have to ask him every single time, and he will be there and he will protect you. And it is so important to do that prior to meditation, because when you open up yourself to the universe, you're opening yourself up to both good and evil.
right.
Call on those angels to help you. That's what they're there for. I could tell you stories that would just blow your mind, honest to God. The stuff that has happened to me in my life, asking for the angels' helps, it's like just totally, you could never believe it, honestly. And that's what they're there for. So ask them. They love to help you. They love to come and be around. Yeah.
Yeah, I would tell our viewers, our audience, I would say write that down, because ask for help, ask the angels for help. I think it's
One of the
a
toughest
beautiful
things
thing.
in the world, I think, is for people to ask for help. I know the way that I grew up, no one ever helped me as a child. I was very abused as a child. And the first person to ever do something nice to me, I was just dumbfounded. I didn't know what to even say. And I'm thinking, the whole process in my head is, how do I repay this? How do I take care of this? What do I do? Because it was so outside of my norm. And I was never able to ask for help because I didn't ever get it and never expected it. So it's a difficult thing, I think, for a lot of people. They think it shows weakness. They think it shows incompetence. It doesn't. It doesn't. You're human. And if you can't ask another human for help, ask the angels, and the angels will put someone there for you to help you. I promise. They always will. They will always come through.
Absolutely. So go if you're having trouble right now, go ask for help. That is the moral of that story.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't ask a person, ask an angel. The angel will put someone there to help you. They
We've
can't
had
help you
you-
themselves. They'll put somebody there.
Yeah. So we've had your website scrolling across the screen pretty much the whole show. Is there anywhere else that you'd like to direct people to, or kind of, how people can get in touch with you and connect with you?
So everything is directed out of the website. All my social media links are there. There are links to all of my books that you can buy. There is a free webinar that you can sign up for and learn a little bit more about how energy works. And if you're interested in the Relationship Mastery Program, then you can schedule a call from there. You can schedule an appointment with me. I do the Destiny card reading, which is numerology and astrology combined. I can do mediumship and talk to your loved one on the other side if you want. I do Akashic Records, which is people's past life. If there's something happening in this lifetime that you don't understand, a lot of times we bring it through from our past life. We bring a lot of different traits through, things like that, and so you understand it. And once you understand things, sometimes it changes the whole scenario. I also have a retreat on, it's a workshop, 4 workshops that I'm going to be doing on the Norwegian epic that's going out the first week of March. It's selling out pretty quick. So if you're interested in that, the sooner you book, the more perks there still are available. And there's information for that on my website under the workshops. And you can chat with me as well. You can send me a message through the website if you have any questions, or through social media as well.
Okay. Well, everybody, please check June out. Go to that website, look through it. It's a great website.
Thank you.
And I love what you do. I love the message you put out in the world.
I love what I do
kindness.
too. It's the old, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I love
Yeah.
what I do. I absolutely love helping people. And you know what is the most fulfilling thing is when I can help not just a soul on this side, but a soul on the other side that's hurting too. Because a
Right.
lot of times they're hurting. If you don't think you've had closure and you haven't, then they feel the same way on the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're still
Raising the
living in grief, then they're living in grief with you because they live vicariously through us.
Yes. Raising the vibration of the whole universe
Yeah.
all at one
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. And everybody, thank you for watching. We're going to have a show next Friday, 7 Central, same time. We're going to have the guest co-host is going to be Troy Hadid. He's going to be talking about yoga, spirituality, and love. And we're going to close it down here. June, if you want to just stick around for just a second, we'll take us off live here and say our goodbyes.
Sure.
Thanks,
Thank you
everybody.
all. Thank you all for listening.
All right, we just have to